One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 1, 1. One, two, three, 1, 1, 1. Hopefully you can hear me properly. Let's check the audio settings. 1, 2, 3. Hello everyone, my name is Michael, and today I would like to talk about how to export effects from LED Strip Studio software. That is the main theme of this webinar. Hopefully it will be interesting. If you will have any questions in regards to what I am talking about, please feel free to use the chat that is available in YouTube. I can type in a short message there so that I can remind you that you can really ask whatever you want. Hello. Hopefully this will be an interesting webinar. It will take something like 30 minutes, up to 40 minutes tops, and then you are free for your Valentine's Day. Yeah, hopefully it will be interesting. I have prepared a short presentation, and then I will show you also the software. I've got a bunch of controllers here on the table, basically all our devices where there is a SD card slot. That means you can use it to play the effects created in the software and use it in a standalone mode. That is, you don't have a PC, rather you want to have a solution where you will trigger the effects by any means that you want. Okay, let's see. I would like to start with this. So, how to export effects from the software? There are a couple of limitations for the devices. Mainly the SD card or the micro SD card that is in the device can store up to 255 animations. That is the limit. You can't have more, though 255 is plenty for you to create and to play the effects from the card. The maximum capacity of the SD card that you can use is 32 gigabytes. Again, a lot of space for a lot of animations. You can use as an animation even a video that you render for yourself, and you can place that onto an SD card. Just a quick note, in the software you can create a show, and that show can have 24 hours or up to 24 hours. A static color with some moving effects is around 800 megabytes, so still that leaves you plenty of space for your other animations that you want to have on the card. And as I mentioned, this is mainly for standalone applications, standalone projects. You don't have a PC running and you want to trigger the effects from the card. To trigger, you can use DMX, for example. That is mainly for the small controller, for the SPI LED controller. Or you can use HTTP triggers, HTTP commands. Those you can send over the network to either LSS3, SPI Matrix, or Reactivo. Or you can use the standalone mode with ArtNet. You can send ArtNet commands to the controller, and with 7 channels, that is the same as with DMX. With 7 channels, you are triggering the animations. You are selecting which animation you want to trigger. You are selecting what you want to have the brightness, and also the speed of the animation you can control with these 7 channels. Remaining 4 are to recolor the animations to red, green, or blue. And if you are using RGBW strip or 4-channel strip, you can also recolor it to white color. In the software, there are several types of effects. A strip scene, video scene, I will show you that afterwards, which you can export from the software and store on an SD card. You can use, as I mentioned, any video that you either render for yourself or download on the internet, and the software will use its own format to export the effects and then store it onto an SD card. An advanced way how to create an effect is to use the show in the software. And in the show, you can, as I mentioned, export an effect that is up to 24 hours long. So that is for the animations that you want to have running for a long period of time. So these are the technical specifications. I will show you which controllers I have on the table. So today I will be working with these three devices. You can see that they are daisy-chained with a Ethernet cable, so that way I can see all three of them in the software and also on the network. I have an SPI matrix, which is a ArtNet controller, LSS3 that is working with our custom protocol, LSS protocol, and one SPI matrix that has been activated for LSS protocol. And there is a difference how to do the mapping for these three. A special case is SPI LED controller. This little box over here. This one does not have, it is not a network device, even though it has some RJ ports. These are, as you can tell from here, these ports are for DMX. So you can trigger the effects that are on an SD card using any kind of DMX signal source. The downside of this is that you can't see live the effects that you are playing from the software. You have to first create the effect and then export onto a card. And I will show you how to do that as well. I can put this back. So that is a special kind of application. I was talking already about mapping, and so what is mapping? You installed your LED strips, pixels, lights around your space, let's say around your room, and you want to tell the software, okay, I have these controllers and I have installed LED strips, and you want to tell the software to which controller you've connected the strips, which IP you are using for that controller, to which output, and yeah, and there's basically how many pixels there are, of course, and where you have installed them. You want to be with the mapping as precise as possible. That is, you want to lay down the strips in the software perfectly, so that way the effect shown will be shown properly. Yes, and this you have to do for all controllers. So when I talked about the small controller, the SPI LED, you also have to create the mapping for this controller, even though you cannot control it live from the software. There are two options how you can create the mapping, or how you can, there are two options how to create the mapping. You either use LSS protocol, which is our custom protocol, or ArtNet. And with SPI matrix and Reactivo, you are always using for mapping to get the live preview, the ArtNet protocol, and for LSS3 and for activated SPI matrix, for example, or activated Reactivo, you can use LSS protocol. That is our custom protocol. The nice feature about the software is that you can draw very easily your strips in the strip editor. I will show you that right now. Let's see, are there any questions? Not yet. So this is blank new project of LED Strip Studio software. I currently don't have any effects in the bank, and I don't have any show created. This window we can basically close because we are not using it. If you are interested to find out more about the software, about ArtNet and LSS protocol, how to create the effects, I recommend to watch some of our previous streams, webinars that are available on YouTube, and there I talk in detail about different scenes, different animations, how to create them, and how to basically work with the software more in detail. So go check those out after this stream if you have some additional time. This is the blank. This is the blank project of the software, and the mapping section. Let's see if that's visible. Yes, and the mapping section is located in here, up in this panel. For those that are working with ArtNet, maybe it's important to mention that you have to have a license activated for ArtNet. With SPI Matrix, we are giving out a license, same with Reactivo, for 1 year for the number of pixels, for the number of universes that your device is capable of controlling. So if you purchase a later version of SPI Matrix, for example, you get a license key that you can activate on your PC for 6 universes. That is 1024 pixels. If you go higher, 2048 version, you get 12 universes, and so and so. And after a year, you can renew the license, or perhaps if you don't need a live preview anymore, you can always export, and this is very important, you can always export new effects from the software. You don't need the license to export to the software. It will work all the time. So you don't really have to renew it if you don't need to. So in here you will activate the license if you will want. We can open the mapping window. I have already added the 3 devices that I have. So in this section, this is the LSS mapping. This section here uses our custom LSS protocol. So again, with LSS3 or activated SPI Matrix or Reactivo, you are using this part for mapping. With SPI Matrix that is not activated for LSS protocol, you are using this portion of the mapping. So you are drawing the strips and assigning them to your controllers. Whenever you are working with our devices, it is very important to be able to access its web config. Once you will get the device onto the network, you will just type in the IP address of the device into your favorite web browser, and you will access the web config. And in the web config, you can set up basically everything for the controller. What is strip type used on the output? What is the color order? You can access the web player, everything. For these 3 controllers, I have assigned IP addresses as shown here. So I have 3 devices here, and I can access the web config of one of those controllers, for example. So I type in the IP address of the device. In default, every new controller that you receive has a default IP address of 147. And if you've daisy-chained the devices, as I did with an Ethernet cable, you can actually access all of them from a single web config. If you will use this shortcut over here, which says device list. So once I will click on it, all the controllers on the network or connected directly to a PC are shown, and you can tell what are their IP addresses, which device it is, and also whether it is activated for LSS protocol. You can hit identify, and what identify does is, once I will hit it, that controller will start to flash, or the pixels that are connected to that controller will start to flash, and you can tell which controller you want to work with. So a quick way how to find out which device you have connected and with which device you want to actually work. Any questions? Not yet. Okay. You can, in the all settings, always change the IP address of the device if you need. So if you have multiple controllers, it is imperative. It's very important that you change the default IP to a different value, since you can't have multiple controllers or multiple devices on the same network with the same IP. So in all settings, you can change the network settings and choose whichever IP you want. Also, there are some testing patterns available here. So if you want to check, and we can check this on a different device, for example, on this LSS3, you want to check if your color order is correct. You can hit red solid, for example, and double check on the strip whether red is actually playing the red test pattern, and you can go red, green, blue in the testing, and it seems that the color order is set up properly. How to change the color order? If you need it, you can, in the web config under testing section, you can find a section that says output, and here you can choose the strip type that you are using, which can be different from strip to strip. So it's very important that you either know this beforehand, or you go one by one selecting the strip types and until you find the correct one. And in here you can change the color order. So the order of the individual LEDs that are within the pixel are not always red, green and blue. It can be different from manufacturer to manufacturer. So in here you can change the color order and then copy it to all your outputs, basically to all your outputs. If you want to find a full list of supported strips, you will open, or you will click on this little icon, which, by the way, is next to every major section or every major setting in the web config, and it tells you some additional information about what you are basically setting up. So if you want a full list of ICs, you will click on this little icon, and this is a list. So for example, under this strip type, you can find all these. What does it mean? If you will select this strip type and you are from the producer, you gather information that this is the strip type that this is the IC that their strip is actually using, you can rest assured that it will work with this strip type. Additional information that you can find also in this table is what is the theoretical maximum frames per second, and also whether there is some hardware brightness available with this strip type. Any questions? No. Okay. Also, what you can find here is in the autoplay section a player. So these you can use to play different animations that are stored on an SD card. But as you can see right here, there is currently no SD card inserted into the device. So we can pop it in. It says SD card inserted. I will stop the testing pattern. And if there will be any animation, there is currently one, but it seems that it is a blank animation, so it's not playing anything. But you can check the content of the card here in player, or scroll through the animations that are stored on a card. Whenever you want to start with a fresh, new, empty card, in the advanced settings, you can scroll a bit down and hit Format SD card, and that will delete everything that is stored on a card. So that way you know you are starting from the you are starting with a blank card, and you can export your effects onto a blank card. There is also an option to upload the effects through the network, through the web config. So you create a bunch of effects and you upload them through this tool onto your SD card. Or you can take the card and put it into your PC with some card reader that is available with every package of LSS3 or SPI matrix, and you can manually copy the files onto an SD card and put it back in to your device. Or you can use the software to send the files over the network directly into your devices. So again, if you want to format the card, you will go into the advanced settings. Okay, it's this one, yes. And you will say, okay, I want to start with a free card. So there are no effects, no files stored on it. Once you have set in the web config the color order, the correct strip type, you've tested it with test patterns, you know everything is fine, everything is working, you can go back into the software. And there you can either manually add with a plus icon. Is it visible? There you can either manually add new device, change its IP to whatever IP you are using for that controller, or you can hit this magnifying glass icon that will search for all the controllers on the network, and it will add them automatically into your list. Similarly, with the ArtNet portion of the mapping, you can hit search. That will search for all SPI matrices on the network or reactivos on the network, and it will add them automatically into the list, or you can add it manually with this icon over here, and then change the IP. Once you have the controllers in the list, you can start with the mapping. You can add new digital strip up here, which will add a new strip into the list of LED strips or LED segments. And you can draw your first line. For that I am using this plus icon over here. So if I will delete this, you'll go add new digital strip, use the plus icon to draw your first line. And a good practice is to turn on highlight segment, highlight pixels function, which will, to your selected color, highlight the strip. Once you will assign it into your controller, and that way you know with which device, with which output you are working. So I will assign it into my controller, 149, and that should be my controller here, the LSS3, to a first output. Red dimming is working. It's connected. And it says Ethernet mode, which is okay. So remember, I have used the highlight segment to color my strip connected to a output, and once I select it, like so, it should be yellow, which is the case. Maybe we can tune down the brightness a little bit. This function also allows you to change in here in curve LEDs section of the mapping what is the number of connected pixels to your output. So if I will use my mouse wheel and put in only 1 pixel, and now use again the mouse wheel to increase the number until I will reach the end of the segment. So there are in total 43 pixels in my segment connected to this LSS3. I have another short segment connected to my second output, so I can add new strip, draw a line again, and assign it into the controller. It is important that you drag and drop it onto the controller, because if you will drag and drop it onto the strip, it will create a group, and group basically is group 1 means output 1, but that you want to use whenever you are working with multiple segments in a single output and you want to have control over those segments individually, which is not this case. So make sure that you drag and drop it onto the controller. So now my second strip is connected to my second output. You can change the output if you need. We will highlight the segment and again use mouse wheel and change the curve LED until we will reach the end of the segment, like so. So there is total of 53 pixels in this segment. Opa. And we can continue with our second device. And this device is IP address 148. It is, even though it is SPI matrix, it has been activated for LSS protocol, LSS software, and you can tell in the web config whether there is yes, so that means that it is activated. If it will says no, you can only use it with ArtNet. So this one I can use the same portion of the mapping that is for the LSS protocol, and I can add new strip. I have 2 segments connected to it, so again I will draw 1 line, assign it, use this arrow over here, move points, to select the segment and find out what is the number of pixels connected to it. This is COB strip, so one LED pixel consists of multiple very small LEDs. Let's bring it down. Like this, 25 segments, 25 pixels in this segment. And the second strip, we will draw another line. We can perhaps change this highlight color to red. And 29 pixels in this one. So that is for the LSS protocol for LSS3 and activated SPI matrix. When you have an SPI matrix that has not been activated, we can move this a little bit. you will use this portion of the mapping. So we will add new digital strip. And for this particular one, I am using this large panel where there is 1024 pixels. And it has 32 by 32 pixels. And it would be very time consuming to draw this one by one. So I can use in the software a tool to draw multiple lines at once. I can either choose horizontal or vertical lines. Let's go with vertical lines. And I am now drawing the strips for this segment. A new pop-up will appear, and there you will set number of lines is 32, and number of LEDs in line is also 32. Okay. And now we have to assign it. That's a step that I forgot to do. So you will drag and drop it, similarly like with the LSS protocol portion, onto your ArtNet device. If you want to find out more about ArtNet, how to do the mapping, go check out our previous stream, where I explain in detail how to work with ArtNet. And we can leave all this as it is, since I am using the first universe, or I'm starting with the first universe for this output. Also the starting DMX address is okay, and the color channel count is, if you would use RGB pixels W strips, you would need 4 channel count. I am using only RGB, so I can leave this at 3. Let's see if my segment will be highlighted. So right now I have highlighted this segment over here, and you can go one by one to double check whether you have did it. Didn't activate this. There is a question in the chat. Well, question. We didn't activate the subtitles. Well, is there an option to activate the subtitles for a live stream? I didn't know that. Let's see if I can very quickly find this, but I'm not aware of such option. Well, I don't see such an option in the YouTube Studio, but if there is such an option for the next stream, we can definitely do this, so that it will be easier for you to understand what I am talking about. But afterwards I can upload, as I did with the previous webinar, I can upload the stream with automatically generated subtitles in language that you prefer or that you want. So just type in the chat which language you want. Maybe perhaps Spanish. Let me know please in the chat or afterwards in the comment, and I can generate the subtitles and upload the stream with those subtitles. And if there is an option to do this automatically, I will be more than happy to do it in the future for future streams. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, so you can, again, with highlight function, go one by one and check whether you have mapped this properly. We can position this perhaps a little bit better. Like this, for example. Once you did the mapping, you can start creating some scenes. I will just quickly sum up what I was doing before I will start to create those scenes. So again, with LSS3 or activated SPI matrix, you use the LSS protocol. With SPI matrix that has not been activated or reactivo, you use mapping with ArtNet or the ArtNet section of the mapping. But for the export, you always have to create also the mapping in the LSS protocol, because that is what the software is using to generate the effects. The process is the same as I have shown you just now. You will create the mapping, assign the strips, the segments into your IP addresses, which are your devices, and then you will again do this for the LSS protocol. You can add the same IPs, so same controllers, so that way you won't mix up the devices. And it is important to previously it was actually you were actually not able to do this. You were not able to have the same IP addresses in the mapping. Whenever you were working with SPI matrix, you have to have a different IP in here. But with a new version of the software, ArtNet takes priority over LSS protocol, so that way it won't try to use the LSS protocol. Before, whenever you had a device in the ArtNet and you added the device with the same IP into LSS protocol section, the software was trying to send not ArtNet but LSS protocol into the device, and that was breaking the controller because it was trying to use the LSS protocol, but it was not activated. It does not have the license. But with the new version of the software, this is sorted. You can have the same IPs in ArtNet and in LSS protocol, and it won't break the device, since the ArtNet has the priority over LSS protocol. Also, what is good to mention is that whenever you open the export window, I will show you that in a minute. Whenever you open that window, it will turn off the output from either ArtNet and LSS protocol. So that way you will export the effects, put them onto the card, and you want to quickly test whether you have exported them properly. Previously you had to turn off the software or change the IP. Again, this is a new feature which sorts this out. You don't have to turn off neither or change the IP. You will just open the export window, and that will turn off the output. Once we have the mapping ready, we can create some effects. If you want to find out more about the effects, go check some of our previous webinars that are available on YouTube, where I explain in detail what effects are available, basically. I will choose, for example, a video scene. So you can add new effect by clicking on Add Video and open the settings for that effect with this little icon over here, or by right-clicking on the effect. This might look familiar. These are the strips that we laid down in the mapping, that we drawn in the mapping. And over these strips, you can lay down your video effect. Once you will hit Add Layer, this window will appear where you can choose which effect you want to use. So, for example, a color effect that will play this moving gradient over your strips, as you can see here. So that effect is currently playing on all my strips that are connected to these three devices. I can change this effect. Okay, for example, I like this one. So this is the first effect in my bank. I can add one more video effect, So again, add layer, color effect. You can choose that you want a different gradient. And you can play with different aspects of the effect, like changing its ratio or size, or the duration. Slower effects tend to look better, so we can leave this at 5 seconds. And we can also perhaps choose something that is a bit more flashy, something with colors. For example, this one over here. And I can also add some strip effect. So you don't hit add video, but add strip. Again, open it. And from the bank of available effects, you can assign an effect to your individual pixels, to your individual segments. And now I've spotted one issue here. The effect is supposed to be, wait a second, maybe we can pull down the brightness even more. I think this is enough. I've spotted one issue here. The color order is not set up properly on this particular segment, or perhaps on the device. So we can go into the web config and change it. We will turn off the outputs. And let's see, this is 148. Red dimming. It's not so red. It's actually green. So we can change either here in the web config the color order, or we can change it in the software. But it should be set up properly in the web config, because if you will change it in the software, it will play correctly, but then once you will export it onto a card, it will have a different color order. So we can change this in the controller. Probably it's GRB. Yes, now it's red. We can copy this to other. So red, green, blue dimming. It's very important that whenever you don't want to test with the testing patterns anymore, to hit the stop test button. Save. And now it should display properly all my effects. Okay. It seems that we have to change this also here. So 148. Okay. I have created a bunch of effects. Are there any questions, by the way? It seems no, not yet. Okay. So I have created a bunch of effects and now I want to export them. You can go into the Tools section and there you will find 3 different file formats. It is important that for the digital strips you always export this file format, LN2, and not LDM, not video, basically you have to make sure that you are using the correct format, which is LN2. And you can export either one scene or you can export a whole bank. So if I will click on export scene, again, I will select this effect and I will click on export scene. A new window will appear. And as I have told you, the output is now turned off. So the effect is not playing. And that you can do whenever you open the export window, the export tool. Here you can find the list of controllers. These two are my LSS3 and SPI matrix, which has been activated. And we have to add one more, which we can do right now, so that we will be able to export the effects also onto the SPI matrix directly and export and upload directly. So we can add one more device, change its IP to 147. This little icon will appear, which is basically saying you that be aware that you have a controller with the same IP already assigned already in the ArtNet section as well. So whenever you see this, you can tell that there are that the controller is in both ArtNet and in LSS. So we can take the strip, which one this is, strip 5, and assign it onto our device, which we've created. So this will be the dummy device for the SPI matrix. And we can go again into Tools, hit Export Scene, and you can see that there are 3 controllers. So all 3 controllers that I have here with IPs 147, 48, and 49. You select those controllers that you want to export the effects for. You select by this little window over here. So you will export to all these controllers. You will select where you want to save the effects, because the software always firstly generates the effects and export them onto your PC and then uploads them over the network. So we can choose, sorry. So we can choose where we want to export them. I have a special file here. Effects. There are 2 additional options. You can apply the mapping color order to the effect, so that way it will export the effects onto an SD card with, for example, reversed color order. So that way it will display properly on your, once you will use the device in a standalone mode. And you can hit, you can tick the option to upload directly the effect onto your device over the network. So these 2 are available whenever you need them. We want to upload the effects directly, so not only export onto the PC, but also upload them directly. And in this section, you can choose from which effect you want to export the effects from. So if you already have some effects on a card and you want to keep those, you will say, okay, I want to, for example, leave my first effect onto a card. So I want to start and export with index 2, not with index 1. Yeah, similarly, if you want to keep your first 5 effects that are already on a card, you will change this value to 5. So it will then export this effect because we are only exporting a scene, not a whole bank. So it will export this effect with index 5. And that way it will keep those effects that are already there on a card. But we can start with index 1, and we can hit export and upload. Or perhaps we can just export it. We will hit export and upload. And a new window will appear, which will give you an information about whether the export was successful and whether the upload was also successful. If everything is green, then you are good to go. You can check the controllers for the effect. So we can close this, and we will leave this on. That way we are that way the output from the software to the devices is turned off. So you can go into the web config, and for example in autoplay you can choose the effect. We have exported effect 1, and we can check whether it's playing, and it seems that the upload and export was successful. We can also try to play the effect on this controller, which will be 147. You see, it's in autoplay mode, so the output from the software is turned off. Where we have this autoplay, and it seems that it was a success, so we've exported it. If you want to check the effects on a PC, whether the export was successful, you can go into the folder that you've exported them to, and you will find 3 folders actually. And so that way you can, if you will copy the effects manually onto SD cards, you can tell which effect you should export, you should copy to which device, to which card. So again, a handy feature, so you won't mix everything up once you will start to manually copying the effects. Okay. $148. Any questions? Okay. And we can turn it off. Of course, you can export the effects one by one, or you can, in the software, export a whole bank. So all these 3 effects. For that, you will click export a bank, and we can start from index 2, and the which index, how you will export the effects. If I choose here start from index 1, then this will be my first effect, second and third. If you will have 20 effects here, they will get the index from the position in the bank. So if I want to, for example, have this as my second effect, I can change it like this, and this will be now, even though that the name of the effect is scene 3, this will be my second effect. Yeah, so it is important to notice here that the position in the bank is telling what will be the index of the effect. Any questions? No. I want to export all 3 effects, so I will hit export bank. I will choose which controllers I want to export them to, and I want to also directly upload them over the network, and everything was successful. We will leave this again. We will leave these windows on the export bank tool, so that the output is turned off from the software, and we will go into the web config and see whether we have exported everything, and it seems that it was a success. 149, that would be my LSS3. So this is the first effect, second and third, and these are a bunch of effects that were there probably, or just this one that was there previously. And we can check again. 147. We'll perhaps leave this on. And in autoplay, 1, 2, and 4. This is because we did not, with this effect, we did not actually cover this panel. So that is why it's blank. Yeah, but this is the effect that we've created. I think that I have summed this up already, or I mentioned everything. Just to sum it up, with LSS protocol you're using LSS3 SPI LED. With ArtNet protocol for live preview you are using Reactivo and SPI matrix, but for the export you have to always create the mapping in LSS protocol for all devices. If you are using the SPI matrix, then ArtNet will have priority. If you will create the controller with the same IP in the LSS protocol as your SPI matrix has, ArtNet will have priority for live output, and that way you are able to export the effects to a proper folder with a proper IP address. It won't break the controller, and you can export correct effects onto your card. And the export window turns off the output, which is very important for you to test the effects that you've created, because otherwise you would have to turn off the software or change the IP address. So whenever you want to test the effects, open the export window, and that will shut down the output from the software. And if you are exporting the effect and or working with digital strips, you have to make sure that you are using a correct format. You have to make sure that you are using the correct format, which is this LN2. And if you want to keep some effects already on the card, you will select from which index you want to export the effects from. So you have your first effect already on the card, you want to keep that, you will choose start from effect from index 2, for example. If you want to upload the effects directly over the network from the software without the need to take the card and put it into your PC, you will tick this option over here, direct upload over network. And you can also apply the mapping color order. A specific case for your effects is whenever you are working with SPI LED. It is not a network device, so you have to create the mapping, export the effect, and copy it manually onto a card. We are already 1 hour into the training. Okay, but this will be very quick. Since you can't connect it to your network, you have to create the mapping, export the effect, put it onto a card, and check whether it is displayed properly. We can open a blank new, or we will delete this from the mapping. Okay, we will make this smaller and put it onto the side. we can add digital strip, name it SPI LED controller, draw a single line, and we can add a proper dummy device. So that is, this is not an actual IP of the controller, but this is just some, it can be a random number. There basically is no good practice for this, but you can use any IP that you want. So let's say 100, for example. Hopefully there is no device with this IP on the network, but it seems no. Okay, so this will be my dummy device. We can assign the strip to it. And I do know, in fact, that this strip over here has 300 pixels in it, because it's a new piece of strip, 5-meter roll, so it has 300 pixels. So I can, in the mapping, tell, okay, my strip has 300 pixels in it. And this is basically it for the mapping for the SPI LED controller. I will create a 2, 3 effects, 3 strip scenes. Choose something. Okay, I can turn off the brightness a bit. You can see it in the preview. Let's use this one, and for the third one we will use something else from the bank of effects, for example this one. Okay, and these 3 effects I will export for that device. So we can go into Tools, hit Export the bank, actually what we will do, we will add a new bank, but that way we don't mix these 3 effects that are for my other controllers. So we will add new bank. We can rename it SPI LED controller. And I can copy this one by one into this bank. And that way I will only export these 3 from the bank. So Tools, Bank, and I don't want to export for my previous controllers, only for this dummy device which represents my SPI LED controller. I can't upload directly over the network, and I want to start with an index 1. It seems that export was successful. Let's check the folder. One, two, three. So these are the 3 effects that I want to use. So what I have to do now is, an old school way, use my card reader. And upload those effects. This way you can also check the content, whether there were some effects before on a card, and whether there is also a setting file. And in setting file, you're basically telling the controller what mode it should work in, what is the strip type that it is using. So this index over here, it's telling that, hey, I am using on the output a strip type that has some of these ICs. So that is a correct one. You can also change the color order and a bunch of other settings. If you want to find out more about this, there is a whole playlist about SPI LED controller and how to create this setting file and what settings you can actually do here. The card IC is correct. That is the setting. I can see that there are already effects. We can delete these and copy paste the 3 effects that I have created. Let's turn this on. We should have a cable here. And let's see if it will play something. 1, 2, 3. So the export was a success. It is even displaying the colors properly. This is the way how we can export the effects for this little device over here and then trigger it by, for example, DMX. Well, not for example, but by DMX. Another option would be to set up a playlist, which is also an option with this little device. So you export a bunch of effects, let's say 5 effects onto a card, and in a separate text file, you will set which effects you want to play, what will be the order of the effects, and for example, also how many times it should repeat any given effect. So you can set that my first effect I want to repeat 10 times, second effect only once, and then third effect I want to loop indefinitely, and the other 2 effects I don't want to play at all. So this is the playlist function with this little controller over here. Let's turn everything on. It's taking its time. Now it's playing something. And that's basically it, how you can export the effects for different controllers. I will just check the notes whether I have explained everything. As I can see that there are no questions. I want to thank you for joining. If you will, of course, have any questions in the future about how to export the effects, how to create the effects, or which devices you should use for your projects, reach to us on WhatsApp, Instagram, send us an email, and we'll be more than happy to help you with your project. We have an option to book a free consultation, no strings attached. We can have a chat for 15 minutes about your project and what we can suggest for it. What controllers, what strips, what cables, how many power supplies. We are always open to this discussion. And as I said, it's free, so you can go onto our page and book your call. Let's see if I will be able to connect to it. Yeah, so if you want to book a consultation, at here, and in the calendar you can select a free consultation or a paid one if you want to get into details of what to use for your project, and you can always schedule a free meeting. As I said, no strings attached. We can have a chat about your project. A good source of knowledge is our support page here, knowledge base, where you can find information about the controllers, about the software, what are the supported ICs, and a lot of information actually. And also you can find a table there with supported ICs. Thank you again for joining. Nick, webinar. We'll download the webinar. Cool. do it. Do it. I can also share the presentation that I have prepared, and also the simple mapping that I have created, so that you can check it along with the video, along with the presentation, and try out for yourself. The software is, by the way, available for download for free, so you can go download it and play with it if you want. So hopefully you will have a good time watching it, Nick, afterwards. And I promised that I will re-upload the webinar with subtitles. Just please let me know, apprende con el Ricci, which language you would need. The webinar before, from last week, I have re-uploaded with Spanish subtitles. If that's your case, then I will do it automatically, and you can watch it with the subtitles. But I think YouTube can also generate the subtitles automatically as well, but perhaps mine will be slightly better. We will see. Thank you again. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for questions, and see you next week on the next webinar. I will say week will be for that one. Thanks again. Have a good one. Enjoy Valentine's Day, and see you. Bye.